Well, we're talking about the advancement of CDMA technology around the world and what's happening with the evolution of technology, what kind of new services and features are coming out. So that's what the show's been about for us. One of the things we showcased and have been talking a lot about is the implementation of Rev-A, which is an evolution of EVDO or 3G technology that we've been expanding around the world, and that's coming out. A number of carriers are launching that right now. For CDMA is you have EVDO, you go EVDO Rev-A, Rev-B, and then our OFDM-based technology is called Ultra Mobile Broadband. So what we did is yesterday we had a seminar, half-day seminar with all the manufacturers from Qualcomm to Lucent to you name it, and they ZTE, Huawei. And they presented about the technology, their support for the technology, what it will enable. The good thing is it looks like it's about, the standards have completed, and it's ready for commercial implementation coming up here fairly shortly. The technology is just being finalized in the standards process in 3GPP2, and commercial service towards the end of 2008-2009 timeframe. But products and chips and things like that will be based on it in coming out in the 2008 timeframe. So, the typical process in the wireless industry is you develop a standard, and then it becomes commercialized. It takes about 16 months, and that's a cycle that we've always hit. So, again, it looks like from the CDMA growth path, we're again relative to other technologies about 3 years ahead of other technologies rolling out. Interesting. I think there's opportunities in all the regions. Which carriers implement first? It's a little hard to tell because it's a little early yet. But certainly, what we're seeing right now is all the operators are really focusing on the Rev-A launches. So that's what they're concentrating on right now. And then announcements on UMB will be forthcoming over the next few months, years. Strengths has always been the backward and forward compatibility. I think with UMB, you'll see that integrated into the chipset. So there's already been announcements that UMB and CDMA 2000 EVDO technologies will be integrated into the same chipset. So that will ensure backward-forward compatibility. Good question. It's interesting. As time has gone on, I find more and more carriers are becoming more interested in Rev-B. I think UMB is being looked at predominantly for different frequency bands, greenfield frequencies, greenfield spectrum, whereas certainly Rev-B can be implemented in existing, and it can be just added on to your Rev-A network. So I think you're seeing two paths emerge, and I think you'll hear more interest in Rev-B going forward here. Certainly you could do it in existing spectrum, but a lot of the interest I hear now is for new spectrum. So it'll evolve in terms of what they look at, but I think for quite some time the Rev-A path and Rev-B path will suffice the needs of operators. I mean, Rev-B brings you up to 78 megabits per second. I mean, just very fast data rates. UMB brings you up to 291. But most of the operators I talk to are looking at new frequency, new spectrum for that. I've been in the wireless industry a long time, so I think WiMAX has a lot of technical challenges to go through in terms of unifying where they're at, what bands they're in even. So I think that's going to be challenging for them. So, WiMAX technology will work at some point. It's just going to take them quite a bit of time to get to the scale points that they need to. You have to then think, well, if these technologies are exceeding them in terms of data rate, and they already have an installed base, how is it going to be successful to compete against this installed base? And that's a big question. It's still not clear in my mind, not clear in a number of people's mind. In terms of possibility, I don't tend to be too hopeful that we'll see UMB implemented within Europe, but then again, you might see some kind of form of UMB and LTE together implemented. It's getting to a point where people are starting to put all this stuff together. It's very common stuff. LTE and UMB are very common anyway. It's not like it's based on GSM or CDMA, and so I think you'll see some work, and I know there's some work already going on to see these things combined, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there.